Morning, guys. I wanted to share our next station with you, and this one is on the gold standard PBL elements. And this one has some really vital components to an authentic project. So, in your notes, you should have these 7 essential project design elements written out already for you, and some of them are pretty straightforward, and some of them just have a different definition per se than the other elements. So if you see this graphic, really it's saying that all of these are surrounding the learning goals that you have come up with, including those success skills, which would be like our 21st century skills that we know and want all kids to have. So we're just going to kind of break these 7 down, and you can jot down anything that you need to in your note sheet. So typically, the gold standard PBL starts with a challenging problem or a question. So this is really a lot of student-driven things around a topic, and they generate this driving question from that topic or standard that you have established. But what's awesome about the driving question is that this question cannot be answered with just a yes or no. There's multiple answers to the question, and it really does drive the rest of the work around this project. The next one is sustained inquiry. And so obviously you're starting to see that authentic projects, they aren't just an end of project task. You are learning throughout the whole thing. So that sustained inquiry has to be there. Students are learning those learning targets throughout and not beforehand and then applying it. So whatever the question is drives this. In order to solve it, they have to find the answers to that. And that's where this part comes into play. Authenticity, this one has come up in every single one, and gold standard PBL defines it like this. It has to be a real world context. So some of the best projects are those that are replicated in the professional world. If you are creating a marketing thing, then it should replicate what they actually do in that world. If you are doing a writing task, it should replicate what happens actually as a job for writing. So it isn't just their personal interests. Yes, that's part of it, but it also includes those tasks and tools that apply to that real world component. Okay, student voice and choice. This, I'll be honest with you, is the whole reason that this one is out. If we can empower students to give them some voice in how they want this learning to look and choice about what that looks like, we start seeing a shift in who is owning the work. And when we give components over to them for that, that is when you start seeing, like, I don't own this project anymore, and they do. And they start holding themselves accountable beyond just the grade book or letting somebody down. They start to see, like, whoa, this is making an impact, and this is where we're at. So student voice and choice does come up in the other elements, but it is very clearly stated in gold standard PBL. And if I'm being honest, this is probably the hardest component to do, is how do we work in choice and voice while still moving consistently along that standard in a time frame that we have. So this one's going to take some brainstorming on our part, but it is absolutely what sets an authentic project apart from other projects, is when we can give more of this up. Critique and revision, another really commonsensical component of projects, but I will say that this one, it seems like what happens normally is we give students a project and we say the due date is this, and then when they're done with the due date, they turn it right back in, and we give them feedback afterwards, but they never really get a chance to do much with that. And I know that's not the case for all things, but that does seem to be what happens. And what I love about this component in gold standard PBL is critique and revision happens along the way through the project in multiple iterations. So after the first week of them breaking down their project, they get critiques, they get revisions from you maybe. And then after they've adjusted that, it gets sent to the partner, and the partner gives them revisions. And you guys, the biggest struggle comes when they start getting actual feedback from people, and they sometimes struggle. Students struggle with this process. So this one, we have to empower kids to do better in those regards. Reflection, this one comes up in almost everything, and it's so important. There's no doubt about that. We really want students to think about what they've learned about not just themselves, but their project. So thanks for hanging in there. Those are the gold standard PBL elements.